got Savvy Navvy, which is the Google Maps for boats. How cool is that? Let's view the pitch. First, the video. And if you've already seen the video, then feel free to skip to the analysis bit. I'm going to do. I don't think I've got access to the document yet. I'll get access now. In the meantime, let's look at this video.
I'm extremely proud of what the team has promised. Yeah, what have we promised? Promise me something. Boat manufacturers are
by promoting businesses to actual boat owners.
Keep saying words till the right one comes out.
Monumental.
Navvy is a great app.
It's absolutely fantastic.
It's an essential bit of kit.
First impression is really good.
We love Savvy Navvy. It's just fantastic.
It's so easy to use.
This is the best navigation system I've found for a long time.
But Quiz, what have we done today?
We launched 4 motorboats. We got anchor alarm, kayakers.
Yeah. Jet skiers.
Introduced departure schedulers. As the list goes on, we've got GPS tracking mode.
How much coverage do we have? Coast and waters.
Got to be over 5 million.
More.
More?
6.
8 million.
Oh!
Actually, 8.5 million square miles of coastal water.
That's insane.
Indeed. If you look at what we achieved these last few years, it does feel insane, which probably explains why last year we won the Great British Entrepreneur Awards for Best Scale Up of the Year. And with almost 1 million app downloads and more than 300,000 miles of recorded GPS tracks, we now have a wealth of data which the wider marine industry can benefit from through our new Lighthouse platform, scheduled to launch in 2023.
The leisure marine industry has good top-line participation stats. However, it lacks behavioural information about how boats are used on a daily basis. We're therefore very interested about Savvy Navvy's Lighthouse project and very much look forward to the data that could bring to us.
Last year, we were cash flow positive in August and September, and with everything we have planned for this year, 2023 is going to be
with you.
Yeah, so that, interesting thoughts there about Savvy Navvy. They look like it's a good platform. 1 second. So yeah, it's interesting. They've got revenue, they've got users, and it looks like they've got B2B as well. Let's look at the glimpse of impressive achievements. Expanded from sailing to all water activities, close to 1 million downloads with high ratings. Coverage over 8.5 square miles of coastal water. I don't know what that means in terms of the overall coverage of the world, but it's interesting. 100 million miles of routes planned. Impressive 300,000 miles recorded. The end of 2022 reached 1.5 annual recurring revenue. Be interesting to see what profits are. Since lockdown, they've grown 18-fold. Cash flow positive. They've won awards. They're going to be 3 ways to monetize. Is the B2C angle, Lighthouse, which is B2B data, and promoted businesses. I guess that's ads. They monetize through app subscriptions with 2 business models: freemium in the US and free trial everywhere else. Prices range from £39 to £70 a year, £69 a year, resulting in lifetime value of £300, which could go up over the year. We got 6-to-1 lifetime value to cost of acquiring a customer ratio, which is fantastic. That's really, really good. Promoted businesses businesses can basically promote themselves to boating enthusiasts. That's really good. You can see how they would make money from that because, you've got a captive audience of potentially, relatively well-off people that own boats and rent boats. Lighthouse is the B2B data. That sounds interesting. What are they going to use this money for? 3 things: performance and brand marketing. Hey, that's what I do. I do it for WhatsApp. But anyway, product innovation, you know, what they're going to do. They want to integrate with C-State. They'll add more innovative aspects of the roadmap and some overlays. Not sure what AIS is. Much more. They want to roll out this lighthouse, working closely with marine agencies and other stakeholders. They're the most instant, insight-rich platforms on boating behavior. I think that's interesting. Automatic identification system. Know exactly who's around you. Yeah, it's good. So what are they valued at? They're only valued at 12 million. That's still really low. They're not far from me in St Albans in Hertfordshire. Nevertheless, 7% offered, about £11 a share. So I'm going to wait for the document access. I haven't got that just yet. But I do think it's interesting. Let's look at the total rounds to date. I've had a few rounds before. 4 rounds. You can see the original round. If they're 12 million now, they're valued at 1.2. So they've already 10x'd. And that was 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. They've 10x'd already. That's really interesting. So they've got progress and they've got traction, which is really interesting. In the original campaign, it's quite interesting as well. Wind, tides, currents. You know, that might be quite interesting for surfers as well. You know, I'm getting into surfing, and I think surfers would be interested in that. I'm sure there are apps for surfers anyway. One sec. Yeah, I'm sure there's like apps for surfers anyway. But you know, I'm getting quite into surfing, and I don't know, maybe there's integrations they could do with surfing apps to say when boats are around, you know, for example, you know, if there's a way to hail for missing surfers and rescue boats, or I don't know, there might be some other indications of changing weather. Maybe surfers could get pinged somehow. I think there's interesting applications for lots of water sports. All right, so they had 10,000 registered users. So they've 100x the number of users, which is pretty good. So that was then in 2017. How much did they raise actually? They raised 300k from 414. Now in 2023, whoopsies. Wait a minute, where have we gone? This is really, really weird. All right, let's go back. Let's go back. They've raised 900,000 from 489. So on average, about 2,000, 2,500 each. I like it. I really like it. Awesome perks. I do like that top, but I don't think I'm going to put 2k in. Personally, it's just because I'm trying to invest a bit less, but I do think this is a really, really, really interesting product. The fact that they can get 6x, you know, when they get advertising as well, advertising revenue, and they get the lighthouse revenue, it could be 10x or 15x their lifetime value versus their cost for acquiring customers. And they start raising $1 million every year. They're going to have so many customers. You know, they could literally have 10 million, 100 million people on this app, maybe not 100 million, because I don't know how many people boat, but I do think this is really fascinating. Maybe they could integrate it with other providers, like people that lease boats and things, and everyone downloads Savvy Navvy, even if you just rent a boat for a day. Get more users. Maybe they get B2B users as well. Surf schools, boating schools, blah, blah, blah. The Navy, maybe. Actually, probably the Navy have got better software than this, but maybe not. Maybe they don't, because of like, they don't have the access to consumer boats. Anyway, I think this is really interesting. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I've got tons of other videos on investing in startups and equities and other things. Make sure to check out my other videos, which will pop up around here soon. I think I'm getting a reflection from the screen. It looks like I've got red eyes, but I don't. That's just the screen. Anyway, remember that knowledge is power, especially the right kind of knowledge, and progress is everything. See you guys in the next upcoming video. Take care. Cheers. Second part of the video where I look at the pitch deck. Get me a little bit bigger, look a bit small there. There we go. Okay, so yeah, we've already seen these results, 18x revenue, annual recurring revenue. So let's look at their document. They've given me access. I want to download that bad boy and talk through it. All right, so millions of boaters struggle with navigation. 18,000 lifeguard incidents in 2021, 8,000 rescue launches with nearly 300 life saves. The Royal National Lifeguard, is that? Royal, I don't know what it stands for, but the lifeguard group assists a lot of kayakers, canoeists, and paddle boarders. The problem they think is that there's too many apps. They're confusing, they're hard to use. The solution they believe is Navvy. It's the Google Maps for the water. And it shows all sorts of things, coordinates, etc. Tides, wind, currents, boat performance, rain, storms, marina conditions, and recommendations. If you compare them to the competition that they've referenced here, they have more. They have weather routing. You know, they have modern interface. They have an anchor alarm. They have, I'm not sure what that is, but I guess maybe that's to do with, could be to do with the depth of the water, maybe. Satellite overlay, that's really important. And the rating of the App Store. So it looks like they do have, a lot compared to their competitors. So then all in one platform, and they have a lot of people, 600,000 registered users, 5% of them, 1%, something. Anyway, just over 5% of paying customers, and they've doubled year-on-year growth, more than doubled, with a 6x ratio from costs of acquiring a customer to the lifetime value. Their revenue has gone up quite a lot, 18x. So I guess they were maybe at somewhere like maybe 50,000 or something, and they're now up. They're doing quite well in terms of revenue. The opportunity size they believe to be target addressable market of 165 million. The one that they're going to be targeting is still quite large at 200 million pounds a year, and the 2%, that's classes as a 2% of the, I think that's service addressable market. So 200 million would be quite good for them, wouldn't it? They've got 3 revenue streams. Let's see if we can make this a bit bigger, actually. 1 second. Got a really big screen now. I just bought this new computer. It's not actually a new computer. I got it secondhand, but it's 27 inch. It's pretty nice. Anyway, Navvy has the B2C side of things. It's got the B2B data insights and the ads, the B2B ads. So I want to add more features. So that's analytics, it looks like. Some of the things, membership, looks pretty good, to be honest. Pretty comprehensive. This is the anonymized data that they can sell to other organizations, which is interesting. And here's the ads. I think the ads could be very interesting. Like, I guess I'm not sure about like if anyone want to have like to know if there's an M&S nearby, but maybe like clothing retailers, maybe you know, that, and maybe obviously boat retailers and things to do with boats, maybe water sports, hotels, maybe that might be quite cool. Don't know. Anyway, they think they're going to charge 200 to 500 a month. That seems pretty reasonable. I suppose the efficacy of that platform is yet to be seen. If it is useful for businesses, they can make more than that. If it's not, they'll make less. They've got some ex-Google people, which is good. They've got some geo research scientists, geospatial. That's good. I guess he's research and development. They've got a Ned, non-exec director. Cool. Looks good. Ooh. So they're looking for 600 million. They've got a valuation of 12 mil, which is 10x their previous valuation of the original valuation in 2017. So I have asked in the 1 second. I have asked in the group about profit, because there's no idea of profit margins in the deck. Nevertheless, it has already 10x and it's grown its users substantially. I guess one would benefit from understanding how big the market is. They've said 165, I think it was 165 million. Do I know the boating market? Not very well. I'm not a boater. So, when you don't know a market, what can you go by? You can go by the numbers. And just because you don't have access to, maybe you're not a consumer yourself, maybe you don't work in that particular area, doesn't mean you can't do well. This sounds quite surprising, but I did well from Domino's Pizza, and I'd never tried one of their pizzas. I just read their annual reports, and I could see that money was doing, the company was doing well. All the money they put in to marketing, advertising was growing, and franchises were growing, and they did very, very well. And you don't have to be a boater to do well from this. Will it do well? I think it does help if you have the inside edge that you are a consumer or you work in that industry. But the numbers are suggesting that this is going to grow. There are a lot of advertising businesses that don't publish their profit margins. They're in software as well. They may have quite high profit margins because they're essentially a software as a service app that has quite high margins. And advertising has high margins as well. And if they're getting 6x return on ads, although it's not net, it's gross because they haven't published their profit margins, you would imagine that that a percentage of that is profit, right? You would hope that the advertising is profitable, i.e., if it's £300 gross lifetime value, you would hope that it's the profits at least kind of 15%, which would be, I don't know what that would be, maybe £50, because their costs are £40, which would mean that they could put a lot more money in, and it would become a self-fulfilling kind of growth machine. When you can advertise for more customers and they pay you off in a quick way, that's that calculation, lifetime value minus the CAC. That's basically equals your growth rate, and it dictates how fast a company grows from a paid media perspective or a paid advertising perspective, which is what obviously I do for Meta and WhatsApp. Anyway, we're going a bit off track. I think it's a good company. I think I am going to invest a small amount. Now, I'm in a particular position in my kind of life at the moment where I can't invest a huge amount. But I think if I did have a lot of money, I think I probably would put in something, to this. Like, I think it's interesting. I don't think it's the kind of company that's going to 100x from here. It's already 10x, right? It's gone from 1 million to 12 million. I think it could be valued at 100 million in the future. Is it going to be valued at $1 billion? I don't think so. I don't think so, unless they pivoted and added other segments on, like surf analytics, or maybe some stuff for ferry companies, or just if they could expand their products out so that they can increase. They did talk about an attractive, TAM, SAM, and whatever. Like, but I think that when companies go to market and they do their advertising, they do their operations, and they go to market and whatnot, it's unlikely they're going to capture all of that anyway. So once they can, let's say they focus on this for 3 to 5 years, if they can expand into other areas to make more money, then it could grow in valuation. But at the moment, at this point in time, I don't see it becoming a $1 billion or £1 billion company. And somebody did ask me about my criteria and things I look at, and I do invest I invest more money in companies that I think have a bigger market potential. So I invested more in a company called BU, which is Bob is your uncle. It's the Netflix of things, where you can borrow, where you can rent basically high ticket items instead of buying them. I think that has global appeal. Instead of spending £200 on a drill, you pay £5 twice a year, and that for me has global appeal and universal appeal. It's sticky, meaning you're always going to want to use it. Whereas the boating app, are you going to want to use the boating app every week? Yeah, if you've got a boat. How many people have a boat? Probably the vast majority of people actually rent a boat. They didn't break down the difference between owning and renting. So, and that also might hamper Savvy Navvy's advertising as well, because probably the people that own boats are going to be the highly profitable customers. They're always going to be on the app, and advertising might work for them. But the people that are renting boats maybe once every 2 years or 3 years, number one, they might delete the app, and number two, they're not going to be on the app very much. So the engagement for the advertising model is not going to work, because they're just not going to be on it. So you may have, let's just say they get 1 million customers. They can't sell 1 million impressions to advertisers, because a proportion of those people are like tourists or people that only use a boat once a year or once every 2 years. So that could hamper Savvy Nav. That's why I'm not going to put a lot in, even if I had tens of thousands to invest. I wouldn't put tens of thousands in Savvy Nav. But I do think it's worth. I think it's a great idea, and I do think it could. I think it could grow. I think that the 3 revenue models they've identified are interesting. It's a shame they haven't talked about profit. That's a slight concern, that they haven't talked about profit, because software engineers and data engineers, they're not cheap. I know working at Meta, they're not cheap. So they may need to raise more money to pay for salaries. But having said that, on the other hand, software revenue, advertising revenue is highly profitable. So, that's interesting as well. Imagine if they do get to a couple of million users. Yeah, I do think they've talked about, I think it was 15 million was the projected revenue. Let's have a quick look. I'm going to share my screen again, and we'll just have another. Gosh, it's gone again. I'll have another look at this, just to look at the revenue again. Right, so they're suggesting they're going to reach about 16 million. So let's say they're at 20% or 25%, somewhere between 3.2 and kind of, I don't know, £4 million. So if they get to 3 or 4 million in 3 years, let's say 3 million of profit, they might be valued at 20x that, which is 60 million. So it could 5x in 3 years if they can achieve what they want to achieve. Obviously, they keep saying they can't be tied down to their revenue projections. So let's say they're less profitable, but they still hit those revenue at 15, 16, and they only make 10% margin. They're making 1.6, let's say. 10x of 1.6 is 16 mil, which is not bad. It's like 20 to 30% increase on this money, on this valuation. But it's not like, it's not going to buy anyone a house, right? Still, I think it's a really interesting idea. And with angel investing, you're not looking at 3 years, you're really looking at 10 years. And remember that people that invested very early, I think 2017, have already 10x their money. And if it goes to 15, 16 million, those people will have 16x'd their money, or something around there, 14 to 16x. So it does pay to be early, definitely. Still, for a software company, I think 12 million is quite a small valuation. It's not the biggest of valuations. Still, you know, while it's not the biggest, it's not the cheapest either, because I think they've baked in this advertising model, this lighthouse model. If they don't work as well as projected, it could be a down round, and you never know. Another reason why I'm not going to be putting in a huge amount, I'm just going to put in probably a very, very small amount for me, just because of my time where I am in life at the moment. I would say the way if you want to kind of know how I'm thinking about how much I put into shares or angel investments, the kind of big ticket items, I'll put something like something like 4 or 5% of my overall, something like that, of my overall angel investment budget, you know, investment portfolio. That's for a big, high conviction type angel investment. And then there's nothing wrong with having micro investments, putting in, you know, whatever you think for you is micro. You know, for me, it might be £100. For you, it might be £10. For a bigger investor, it might be £1,000 or £10,000. But there's nothing wrong in having micro investments. I define a micro investment as being able to invest that amount in 100 to 1,000 companies. That's a micro investment. Let's just use the number £1,000, dollars, euros. That means that you got 100K or 1 million, but you can put it into 100 companies or 1,000 companies. And what that means is, you know, when you're not so sure, like Savvy Navvy, I think this will do well. I think it will grow. Will it 100x? Probably not. Could it 10x? Maybe. Will it double? I think it will. I think it will double, you know, within the next 5-10 years. That's better than a lot of the stock market. Most companies won't double on the stock market in 5 years. Although actually, having said that, right now is a pretty good time on the stock market because the valuations have decreased. Nevertheless, I think this is an interesting, exciting company. I'm kind of rambling a little bit now, so I'm going to stop sharing. I think I basically said more or less what I want to say on Savvy Navvy. Hope you enjoyed this video. I've got other videos about other angel investments, and there'll be some other videos that pop up soon. Remember that knowledge is power, especially the right kind of knowledge, and progress is everything. I'll see you guys in the next upcoming video. Take care.